Flying nonstop from Huntsville is a breeze on Breeze Airways. They're nice people flying nice people to nice places on really nice planes. Let's be direct. Nonstop from Huntsville to the places you want to go. Las Vegas, Orlando, or Tampa starting at $49. It's time for a weekend getaway or a long overdue week away. Time to check in using the convenient Breeze app and check out. What are you waiting for? Book today at flybreeze.com. That's flybreeze.com. Breeze Airways. Seriously nice.
Eagle Masonry and Installation. It's right there in the name. Eagle is your one-stop shop for block, stone, or brickwork, monument signs, and outdoor kitchens and fireplaces. Eagle also offers the finest craftsmanship and insulation, including fiberglass or spray foam insulation, and of course, insulation removal. Philip Love and his team have years of experience, bringing the region the best in masonry and insulation services. For more information and a quote, visit insulatewitheagle.com or call 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. It's a daily update on Bama sports, and it's brought to you by CB&S Bank. Bank anywhere, at any time with CB&S Bank's digital solutions. Managing your finances has never been so easy. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. As we prepare for opening night of Alabama basketball, here are some thoughts from men's basketball head coach Nate Oates.
We're finally getting here. It's been a long time. We've had a lot of practices all summer and fall. They give us 30 practices in the 6 weeks leading up to the game. We've got 28 under our belt, so we're going to give them tomorrow off and then go Saturday, Sunday. That's why we're meeting today. But, we're excited that the exhibition games gave us a great opportunity to see ourselves against somebody else. I think we learned some things about us. We got exposed in some different areas.
I'll have more in a moment.
CB&S Bank has a long history of stability and a legacy of serving our community's needs for generations. You could say we know a thing or two about tradition. We've been family, community, and financially strong since we began in 1906. Being a team player is part of our culture. That's why at CB&S Bank, we're proud to sponsor the University of Alabama Athletics and prouder to take the field or court with you. Visit cbsbank.com today. Member FDIC and Equal Housing Lender.
We've got you covered for tonight's doubleheader of Alabama basketball. The women's game tips off at 5 p.m. Central against New Orleans, followed by the men's game at 8 p.m. against UNC Asheville. Listen to the games on our full radio network, the Varsity Network app, as well as a courtside cam on all CTSN social media platforms. Crimson Tide Today is brought to you by CB&S Bank. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
There you go. We're back. We're live. We are brand new. It is Talking Ball live on the road from Bill Penny Toyota Service Department on a Monday morning. 256-576-4977. You're good, the bad, the ugly from what a crazy, crazy weekend in college football. A weekend that saw, let's see here, we gotta count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of the top 24 teams in the country all go down on Saturday. And inside Jordan-Hare Stadium on Saturday, it was pretty much about the same old that you've seen from Auburn all season against Vanderbilt.
Extremely disappointed again. This has been too often a story this year for us, for our players and our fans. And just very disappointed. I thought our defense played their guts out and played well enough to win and probably did the best job against that squad of anyone all year. And, outgain them again and for like the fifth time this year, it feels like, and don't have anything to show for it because we're just not able to finish. And whether it's finishing drives with points from our field goal unit or whether it's us not converting third downs, we struggled at all of that today. And certainly disappointed that we didn't stack upon last week's effort. Just I didn't think we strained as well offensively as we did last week at Kentucky.
Didn't get it done.
No, they didn't. Diego Pavia, as I posted on my X account, he owns the state of Alabama. He certainly owns Hugh Freeze, and they won again. It wasn't a pretty performance from Vanderbilt, but it was gutty and gritty, and Auburn did a good enough job defensively to win the game, but their offense is pathetic. It's been really putrid all year. They if you stop Jarquez Hunter and they can't run the football, they're not going to beat you because they still don't have enough difference makers outside. The Freeze Four or whatever you want to call them have not lived up to the hype. Uno Thompson has done nothing. Basically, I think he had one catch for 3 or 4 yards in the game. Malcolm Simmons has actually been really good.
Right.
Coleman has not been what they thought he would be. He's been okay. He's not, been the big play threat. He had one game against Alabama A&M. Then he made one play against Mizzou on about a 56-yarder, but he has not been what they thought he was going to be, like being a wide receiver one. Keandre Lambert-Smith has been really good.
Right.
Transfer from Penn State. He's done a nice job. Robert Lewis has dropped half of them. They've thrown to him from Georgia State. He has not been what they thought. Rivaldo Fairweather's had a pretty good year. But the bottom line
he
is
had the lone moment in that game on Saturday. I mean, that was it.
Yeah. So Vandy held Hunter to about 50 yards, and really, I think Hunter only got 2 touches in the second half, which, Freeze lamented not being able to possess the football, but that's the way Vandy plays. I mean, and what's the other part that nobody's really talking about is Auburn's been really bad in special teams.
Oh,
I mean, their kicking game, Auburn has been kicker university in the past, but Towns Magoo's been really bad. I mean, he missed 2 more kicks on Saturday. Now, one was 50 plus. That's a tough one, or close to 50 yards. And then he missed a 44-yarder, but he's just not been very good at all. He hadn't been consistent. He's got a big leg, but he's been erratic.
And there was no McPherson on Saturday. He
was
out.
Yeah, they tried
Saturday
to use him, and I think at this point, if you're Auburn, you've just got to redshirt him.
Right.
I mean, he's just not.
I think he's kicking 1 game this year, maybe.
Yeah, it was. It was the game before. They finally used him, but he just, for whatever reason, he's got to get healthy. He's just never this past offseason, and the sickness and everything just took everything away from him. So you're just going to have to go with who you've got. And so, but again, I give Vandy credit because everybody just keeps waiting for the other shoe to drop. They didn't think Vandy would win at Kentucky. That now they've won at Auburn. This is a 6-3 team. They're ranked in the top 25. They're a pretty good football team. And so, I mean, now they've got a difficult schedule the rest of the way out, but they're also extremely difficult to play against because of how different they are and what they do offensively. And, again, we should not be shocked. I mean, at the start of the fourth quarter, the game was still very much in doubt. It was 10-7. And what do? They run 8 minutes and 53 seconds off the clock, nearly 9 minutes. I think it's about a 14-play drive, and they eat up the entire quarter. Now, they were fortunate because, the Auburn was called for a penalty when they were trying to field goal that gave them a first down. They called the personal foul. But again, that is what it is. And then Vandy took advantage of it and scored. And as soon as Vandy got up 10 with, I don't know, by then there's 3 or 4 minutes to go, you just didn't feel real good about Auburn's chances because
they haven't been able to do anything offensively, not in this game, but I mean, they haven't been able to do anything offensively.
You needed 2 scores, and Auburn bogged down and decided to try the long field goal. And I don't think anybody was shocked when it was no good.
No.
And pretty much by then, the half the stadium had emptied out. And so you just got to give Diego Vanderbilt and Clark Lee. I mean, with Elko taking it on the chin, and I think I had picked South Carolina, but not to beat them like a rented mule.
Well,
but Clark Lee is coach of the year right now in the SEC.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities in that Texas A&M game to what South Carolina did to LSU at home back there earlier in the season. South Carolina gotten off to a 14-0 lead in that game against LSU at home as well, and watched LSU come back and they should have won that game against LSU. There was a couple bad calls in that game that helped LSU, but South Carolina finally finished it.
Yep.
Finally finished it. And their fans have been saying, okay, when are we going to be able to get over the hump and get one of those wins? Because they nearly had one against Alabama, should have had one against LSU this year already. And they finally, after I think 2.5 years or whatever, finally get that ranked win they've been coveted.
Yeah, they played well, and they've got a good football team. If you're the University of Alabama, you did not play this weekend, but you came out on it went about as well for you as it could have from the standpoint of strengthening your schedule, because Vanderbilt is now bowl eligible. They're a pretty good football team. Yep. They beat you. Tennessee, they win their game in an ugly fashion. Once again, it's kind of the pattern for Tennessee. They don't play well in the first half. Their defense keeps them in the game, and then offensively they find their footing and they find a way to get the job done. They beat Kentucky 28-18. So they're 7-1.
They should have had 27 points in the first half. 2 drop touchdown passes and a field goal. They're 2 field goals, I believe, that they left off the board in the first half. Wide receivers just flat out dropping touchdown passes.
And so they get Mississippi State this week. So if you're Alabama, they're winning. Your 2 teams that beat you won, and then South Carolina got a big win, and they played you to the bitter end. It was a 27-25 game. So right now, if you're Alabama, you're looking pretty good. And the LSU Tigers are in the top 15. So now you have to beat LSU. None of it matters if you don't. But if you do, you're going to be in a very solid position going into your last 3 opponents. Now, the other side of the flip of the coin is this is a very unpredictable SEC season. We've seen that all year long. With the way things work out. But Alabama, if they beat LSU, they're going to be big favorites in the last 3 games. And so they're going to be expected to win. There's not going to be it's not going to really enhance your resume from the standpoint of you're not going to get a lot of brownie points for beating those 3 teams, because none of it right now, it doesn't look like any of them, at least 2 of them, are not going to go to a bowl game in FBS. Now in FCS, Mercer may very well be up, but look, okay, you have to beat Mercer. I mean, there's just you don't get any points for being an 8-1 Mercer team.
No, you don't.
So, but if you're Alabama, if you were able to do that, then you have a good, really, really, really strong chance to make the playoff. But it all comes down to beating LSU, because it's basically, this is the way it is with LSU and Alabama. The loser is going to leave town, because I don't think
3 losses.
You're not going to get in with 3 losses. No. There's too many other teams that are good, not just in the SEC, but in other conferences. And Ole Miss State, they made a huge statement on Saturday, just eviscerating Arkansas. I thought they would win, but I just didn't. I didn't expect
60-some points come on the board.
I didn't think it'd be over in the second quarter. So I thought it would be a very competitive game. That Ole Miss was the more talented team, and I kept saying, for whatever reason, Sam Pittman's teams don't play very well at home. And that trend totally continued. And so, you give Ole Miss credit. And now they have a huge opportunity Saturday in Oxford, because they're playing the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yep.
And Georgia's the number 2 team in the country. And so you're looking at that.
Well, talk about Georgia. Florida, wow. Florida was a mash unit on Saturday.
They are, but I
still hung with Georgia.
After watching them and watching the way they were playing before they lost DJ Lagway to the hamstring, I think Billy Napier deserves another year.
Yes.
Those kids are playing hard for him. Even when they went to the Yale transfer, they still continue to play hard. They tied it at 20. Yes. Until Georgia finally imposed their will, drove, scored, and then there was a turnover, and they scored again really fast to put it away. But still, the way Florida looked and the way they played, they've really improved a lot. Now it's gonna be tough for them to get to 6-6. Like they're gonna win 5 because Florida State's the worst, Power 4 team in America. So that'll be the 5th win, in my opinion. Then that would be the only way I think Billy could get himself in really hot water.
If you lose to Florida State,
you've got to beat Florida State. But I think they will. Now, can they get a 6th win? I don't know. But if they do and they get to a bowl game with that schedule, I mean, because, they got Texas, next week. But they do get LSU at home. At least they get a game in the Swamp. And we don't know if they'll get Lagway back this year. I mean, it was a severe hamstring injury. But who knows, what's going to happen going forward.
It's Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, and Florida State.
Yeah, that's a brutal
that's the
schedule,
final
man.
4 games for Florida State.
Yeah, for Florida. Yeah, it's just
Florida. Yeah,
yeah. It's just it's tough. But if he can, I know this, and it was kind of the mantra in Dallas with that difficult to schedule, which. With Billy and those guys, it really turned out to be that tough. Sometimes they'll say, "Oh, the schedule's so tough," and then it'll open up where it wasn't as tough as you thought. No, this is a brutal schedule.
Every bit as tough as we thought.
Yeah. So if he can get to 6-6 and get to a bowl game, I just think, especially when Lagway's there and he's a guy you can build around, I think he deserves another year. And that would be big for him because he's recruiting. He has recruited well. I think it would be a shot in the arm. I think they would have a chance to finish strong in recruiting. And then, Florida State right now is in a horrendous spot because it doesn't look like they're going to fire Norvell. And it looks like they
can't afford to fire Norvell.
I think they're going to go 2-10. They'll probably beat Charleston Southern, who's another team that's not very good, but they'll probably go 2-10. And then, you'll
reload through the transfer portal and try to do
he's going to have first thing he's going to have to do is fire nearly all his entire coaching staff. And we'll see how that goes, who he can attract. And then, they're going to attack the portal. And then because right now their high school recruiting is going to the tank because they're so bad. They've been it's been more about losing guys they had committed. So do I think long-term things look good for Norvell? I do not. I think they look really bleak. But again, that's where Florida can take advantage of that, get some players. And then with Miami, they're flying high right now. But, I think we all understand that they have a special quarterback and Cam Ward. I'm not surprised he's done really well, but he's a 1-year dude. And so we'll see who they get after that. And they should have probably already lost 2 to 3 games. They had trouble Saturday with Duke. I still think they're a fraud.
They're kind of like Florida State of last year.
Well,
they've caught lightning in a bottle, and they're playing well, but it's just a matter of time.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like Wofford. I mean, TCU. I mean, they got to the national championship game and got beat by 60.
Yeah.
Eventually, there's going to be a paddle for that ass, and somebody's going to get them. So we'll see. But and then another fraud, Clemson. Everybody was talking about how they figured everything out.
Louisville just came in there and went
into Clemson and paddled them, and that was it.
Problem.
So
all that was good for Alabama. You couple that with the Iowa State loss on Saturday as well. Yep. Texas Tech, I believe, came in there and
beat them
scores
by a point,
late.
Yep.
With 29 seconds left. You couple that. I mean, all that is good for Alabama because they did not play and teams above them all lose. You talk about it, and I said it. You were surprised, and I was surprised about the amount of points Arkansas gave up to Ole Miss. To me, that was more surprising than South Carolina beating Texas A&M because I thought Mike Elko was playing with fire, rotating quarterbacks like he had been.
Well,
between Conway, I think it finally caught up to him.
Well, they didn't rotate him Saturday. They played Reed the whole game, and I think that's what they needed to do. He had not lost a game up to that point, and his mobility had really helped that team. And again, we don't know that Connor Wegman's completely healthy. I thought, I wouldn't call it catching up to him. I thought he did the right thing. I thought he, when they made the comeback against LSU, when you go back and look at Reed's resume, he had not lost a game. So I know that Wegman's a little bit better passer but still, I just figured with his ability to improvise, and South Carolina had some trouble with mobile QBs, but they played well. Again, that I was impressed. I mean, I really liked, what I saw out of South Carolina. I mean, when I saw them in Tuscaloosa, they've got a good football team. I think they're better than Clemson. I think they're going to have a really good chance to beat Clemson at the end of the year. What it comes down to is Lenora Sellers. He can't turn the ball over.
Right.
And he wasn't a Picasso performance on Saturday, but he stayed away from the disastrous turnovers, and he completed enough throws. And his mobility really gave Texas A&M a ton of problems. It was kind of the mobility at the quarterback spot against LSU. Really, they took advantage of that. Yes. Well, then they got their own medicine because Lenora Sellers and the way South Carolina ran the football, period. I mean, they ran for nearly 300 yards on Elko's defense. And I'll give Elko credit. He just praised South Carolina. He goes, yes. We just got whipped. He
a night game in South Carolina is awfully tough too.
Yeah, he didn't do like Lane Kiffin and try to score 70 points. And I guess he doesn't like Sam Pittman because he basically just tried to run it up. I
don't know.
I mean, but we'll see. I mean, he's got a huge challenge with Georgia coming to Oxford. Huge opportunity too.
All right, I know the phone lines are full, but let's get a break in. When we come back, we will get out there. Mark from Spring Hill, Bryce, and Pat from Tuscaloosa. We're all going to get to you after the break. It's your good, the bad, the ugly on a Monday.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Had a report of a wreck on the causeway headed into Decatur. I think they were looking at that one as an injury type, but it's going to turn out to be a no injury. Everything else seems to be in order this morning. I don't see any other snags. You be careful on your trip in. Definitely put extra room in there so you got somewhere to go if something goes wrong. Dr. Sandman has the Somnodent, a safe, insurance-approved alternative for snoring and sleep apnea. Dr. Randall Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold-certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list and maybe a little scary, but it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
If you work in a dangerous or logistically intense industry, you know good training can be a challenge. There are training costs, safety concerns, and difficulty replicating real-world scenarios. There's a better way used right now in the Army and in all our armed services to better prepare our heroes, and it's available to you in your organizations. Higher Echelon's Game Development Team is revolutionizing learning in military training, dangerous industry, STEM, and sports performance domains with cutting-edge virtual training that immerses you in lifelike scenarios without the cost and safety concerns for trainees. With Higher Echelon's game-based training, you'll experience realistic simulations, precision accuracy, and unparalleled safety. Higher Echelon founder Dr. Joe Ross is retired Army who played and later coached for the cadets and puts that experience to use. His team has been building cutting-edge virtual training environments for soldiers and clients for a decade. Higher Echelon, the name you can trust for advanced training solutions. Reach out at higherechelon.com to get your free consultation. Go Higher and go Army.
We cover all the SEC schools, including Western Union and Venmo.
I
want that money! You know, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Let's get you out to the phone lines, 256-576-4977. That's the number to be a part of the show. And we start with Mark from Spring Hill. Good morning, Mark.
Morning.
Hey, morning, guys. Leonard's loser did okay, I guess. I try not to. First of all, I appreciate y'all letting Leonard's loser be on this program. I like going with underdogs, and of course, pick three pretty big underdogs. And Georgia almost made it the trifecta, but we were talking on Friday about A&M, and that game didn't surprise me really at all. I tell you, the Vanderbilt game down there at Auburn, I just feel like Vanderbilt would eke out, a win, and they out physical them, and they were the better team. It's kind of like when Alabama lost. I would say on that day, and I don't care what anybody says, Vanderbilt whipped Alabama up front. That's where they won the game. And everyone knows, listens to the show, I'm a big Bama fan. And so the long story short, I guess my good, bad, and ugly is all kind of in one, that Vanderbilt's for real. And I happen to, living now in Spring Hill. I was eating last night at a restaurant near the stadium at Vanderbilt, and it hit me. I was going to get your take on this, Drew. Having only lived here about a year and a half now, I tell you, if I'm a recruit, now people don't know this, but Vanderbilt's got the biggest endowment of any SEC team that includes A&M. They don't put it towards the athletics yet, but can you imagine a scenario if you're an athlete? Nashville is a wonderful place to I guess hang out if you're a player. Great school. There's so many positives there. Can you see Vanderbilt, kind of taking this as sort of a genesis of a program and building it into something special? Because, I guess I'll hang up and I want your take on that. I'd like to see what you think about Vanderbilt and its future.
I think they have to stay with what they're doing right now with the style of football.
Yeah.
I don't know that I can see them, though, all of a sudden committing to the sport when it's been however many, 70, 80 years they've never done it. I mean, I guess you could have a regimen change where you might have somebody put more emphasis on it, but but look, man, they're doing their first stadium renovation since 1982. So, and it's not like they're putting, 30,000 more thousand seats in it to be a 70,000 seat stadium. Can they be more competitive? Sure. I mean, they certainly need to pay Clark Lee and try to keep, Jerry Kill and Tim Beck and that coaching staff. And they need to find another Diego Pavia. Let's see if you can find one. I mean, he's been the whole key to their team. So this has been a great year, but I'll quote Ronnie Stapler that it's a season, not a program. Now they have to see if they can build a program, and that's easier said than done on the West End. I mean, just look at it historically.
James Franklin, you look at what he did when he was there, and it took everything he had to do it in back-to-back years.
Well, I mean,
it was tough.
Look at Vandy men's and women's basketball. It's not good right now.
Right.
I mean, it's not like the only thing they've been good at lately is baseball. And that's because Tim Corbin kind of isolated himself and it handles that, they basically, he's his own wing of the athletic department. You know what I'm saying? So really that's all that Vandy's been good at. So we'll see. Maybe they can take a step, but right now I would just say enjoy Diego Pavia.
All right, let's go to Pat from Tuscaloosa. Good morning, Pat.
Morning, Pat.
Hey, good morning, guys. There's a train lane as he putting it together and getting ready for the dogs. That it looks like to me that he's tuning up. That wow. Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah, he looks like he's got a chance to have his biggest win as a head coach coming up in Oxford on Saturday.
Yeah, Martin Houston was talking about signature wins, and this would definitely be a signature win for Ole Miss. Do you not agree?
No doubt.
Well, yeah, at this time, I mean, it would be one. I mean, they've had signature wins, I think, there in the past, but it would be for him. And since he's arrived at Ole Miss, it'd be a signature win for Lane.
Yeah. Hey, do y'all agree that this is going to take at least 5 pounds of unpopped popcorn for us to pop for LSU and Bama and Georgia, Ole Miss this weekend? This is going to be a popcorn weekend. Come on.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one, no doubt about it. You got a triple header that's going to be on ABC for the SEC, and it's going to be 3 good matchups, and especially those last 2. I mean, Georgia, Ole Miss, a lot of star power, a lot of talent on the field, and then of course Alabama and LSU. Been a great rivalry since Coach Saban came to Tuscaloosa, and even now with him retiring and LSU going through changes, it's still a lot at stake. It's kind of a loser leave town game. So yeah, no doubt it's going to be a big weekend.
Do you think ESPN loves spending all that money now to get the SEC package?
Oh, of course. I mean, CBS looks like a bunch of idiots.
Do they not?
Because they're playing Wisconsin and Purdue. I mean, or Wisconsin and Iowa. Like, congrats to your Hawkeyes.
Yes,
but this week, I think it's Purdue and Ohio State. Nobody gives a rat's. You know what? I mean, not in this part of the country anyway.
No. And I think, boy, did you see the Penn State folks they just despised having that game at noon on Saturday, the Penn State Ohio State game.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, I think they more despise the big game record for James overrated, but that's just me. I mean, somebody asked me this weekend, what's the biggest win he's ever had? I was like, it was about 8 years ago when he beat Ohio State in 2016.
Yeah. Guys, it's looking like they could be as much as 8-10 inches of rain or more in Baton Rouge Saturday. Depending on if the storm slows down any at all. This thing's forecast to come straight into the bottom of the Louisiana Beach.
Well,
could be an absolute. If you can't run the ball, you're in trouble.
Well, like I say, I've said it before. Alabama is coming off a game where they ran the ball. They've got to continue to do so, and Jalen Milroe has to willingly run it. So. And protect it. If it rains, it rains. It's something you can't control. You got to try to prepare for it. We'll see if it does. We'll see how the weather turns out. But, again, it's one of those things. I still think if Alabama can outrush LSU and if they can win the turnover battle, I think they can win the game. They certainly they did win the turnover battle, but lose the game against Tennessee. But they played a very, very poor offensive game. And to give the Vols credit, the Vols have a really good defense, even if their pass rush hasn't been what everybody thought it would be. The bottom line is what you give up, and they haven't given up over 20 points to anybody they played. They've got a really good defense, and I think it's better than LSU's.
All right, Pat, hate to do that. We got to move on real fast. We got to slip in one more before the break real fast, and Wolverine Dan is with us. Good morning, Wolverine Dan.
Morning, Dan.
Well, good morning, gentlemen. There was a gully washer, and it was in Wisconsin. And if I'm not mistaken, our running backs did do quite well. Or I should say this. Here's a team, and I'm speaking of my Lions, that shut down Green Bay, and Green Bay did not score a touchdown until 3 minutes left in the 3 minutes plus left in the game without Hutchinson, okay? What this is this. We always talk about team effort. If you watch this game, fellas, you need to start watching the Lions because they really are legitimate. The best record in the NFC, the best team in the NFC, and I could possibly say the best team in the NFL altogether because we did beat Kansas City last year straight up. All right. So I think this team is poised for a Super Bowl run. But I'm telling you right now, you need to watch this team because it's legitimate. There's not one star on this team. It's a team combined of a lot of really good players that really like playing on the same team together, fellas. And that's a scary thought because you never know where it's going to come from. The tackle, the fumble, the interception for a touchdown, a run back from a kickoff, punt, stuff like that. And it was just like, for instance, Branch laid the wood to that Green Bay wide receiver. Now, this is the question I got for you guys because I've already told you pretty much how great the Lions are, which they are. But here's the deal. Here's my question. How can some guy in New York sitting inside of a room with a bunch of TVs, probably eating popcorn, like your previous caller said, watching these games, and then called Branch, or should I say called the officials and told them to kick Branch off the field. I thought that was an on-field call from the official that was there that witnessed the play. You tell me, because you know what it sounds like, guys? And Drew, you're going to appreciate this because you and I are on the same page when it comes to this. Maybe that might happen again this Tuesday, if you know what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, I thought it was excessive. I didn't see it live. I saw it, after the play. I didn't think he deserved to be ejected. I've seen harder hits than that. I mean, and I saw one that was similar later in the day, last night, and it wasn't called. So, matter of fact, they even waived the penalty off because I guess they said he didn't lead with his helmet. But again, I just think football is getting too soft. I mean, you might call a penalty on it, but I certainly didn't think Branch deserved to be ejected. So I just think overall it's people overreacting. It's just like, the leadership we have in this country now that we've had to put over the last 4 years. It's garbage.
Tuesday.
Yeah, it might be a replay of Sunday, Tuesday, because I can't, I'll be honest with you, I cannot trust as far as I can throw them. So, with that said, fellas, hey, Michigan, one more win, just get to a bowl game. It's pitiful. I understand that, but it is what it is. Sharon Moore's got to go. New coaching staff, bring Indiana coach in with his coaches, and we got it going on. But listen, great football this weekend, and then can't wait to this weekend coming up. SEC games are going to be awesome. I can't wait to watch them.
Thanks, Wolverine Dan. Yeah, Tuesday's your day. Make it count. That's all I'll say. Just vote the right way. Make it count. And the right way is whatever way you want to vote. All right, let's get a break in. When we come back, Jake Crane will be with us, and we'll talk some college football with Jake.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. Mostly cloudy skies continue for this Monday night. We'll see low temperatures fall into the lower 60s for the overnight. Looking ahead into our Tuesday, isolated showers going to be possible, mainly in the evening, though, so you can expect to see partly cloudy sky throughout much of the day. High temperatures warming into the upper 70s for the afternoon. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Hederick reported southbound on the causeway approaching the Hudson Memorial Bridge. Not much to it. In fact, they've already cleared it off the board. It did turn out to be a no injury. Everything else seems to be in order this morning. Traffic at a heavy level all across the valley. You be careful on your ride in. Snelling needs an experienced way station operator. The position is a direct hire. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
It all comes back to money.
Visit our store right now at zonedeals.bigdealsmedia.net to take advantage of all the best deals in the Tennessee Valley. Or just go to our website, 977ESPN.com, and click on the Zone Deals logo to start saving right now.
Now, as to the price.
These deals won't last long, so get yours now. Zone Deals. You'll thank us later.
A man who could easily afford to buy a vowel.
All right, welcome back to Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. We are live from Bill Penny Toyota on a Monday morning. The service department is open. They're open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then on Saturday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Don't forget, right now, you buy 3 tires, you can get that 4th one for $1. Safety meets savings here at Bill Penny Toyota. We do it each and every week. We have a great conversation with Jake Crane, and that's time for us to do it now.
Yeah, we had a great birthday weekend. Congrats, bro. Happy birthday, buddies. Of course, the co-host of Crane & Company, they're going to be on from 2 to 3:30. this afternoon on YouTube, and of course they have the content throughout the weekend as well. They have reaction shows as they follow college football as close as anyone, and we always enjoy our daily segments with Jake Crane. Jake, how you doing this morning, man?
Jake is going to be with us here in a matter of moments.
Okay, gotcha.
It's Monday. The time change may have played with Jake a little bit, but he'll be with us. Yesterday felt like the longest day of the year. With that time change yesterday, I looked down at my watch and it was like 4 o'clock, and it was like I needed dinner. I felt like I needed a full-on dinner at 4 o'clock yesterday, as it was the longest day. But Jake is now with us.
Yeah, he is on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Jake, we hope you had a great birthday weekend once again, man. Congrats, and I hope you had a good weekend of football. Of course, later, as we said this afternoon, from 2 to 3:30, it'll be Crane & Company on YouTube, and they have content throughout the weekend as well. And we're going to talk some college football with him right now. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, guys. How's it going?
We're doing well, man. Yet more struggles for Auburn. A really good defensive game. I mean, if you told me how well they were going to defend Diego Pavia and hold Vandy to 232 yards. See, I picked Auburn in this game. I thought they would find a way to win. I thought they would move the football better than they had. I thought they would stick with Jarquez Hunter. I thought they'd be able to run the football. But for whatever reason this year for Auburn, they just can't seem to figure things out on offense.
Yeah, I mean, first off, you got to give credit to Vanderbilt and really Vanderbilt's defense and special teams. You know, you can tell that there was talk about Pavia's health, and you could tell his running ability really wasn't, what it has been in the past, and that hinders them offensively with what they want to do. But you see the difference in a team that knows how to win, that has that dog in them, at least the older guys. And then an Auburn team where, the older group they just can't do it. Like we could sit here and analyze all the problems that they have, but under the Hugh Freeze era, even going back to Brian Harson's last year, this older group, I'm sure they're good people and they're good guys. They're just not very good football players. They really don't know how to win. The moments are too big for them. And so I continue to say, the younger guys just need to play. Who made all the plays on Saturday? It was the younger guys.
That's true.
Outside of Fairweather, you look defensively, Riddick, Crawford, Folk, even offensively. It's the younger guys because they have that alpha in them. This older group has just been placeholders, and the quicker they get out, the better Auburn will be. And obviously the coaching's got to be better. We all know that. The in-game decision-making hasn't been very good. But at the end of the day, football's a game that's won by players while coaches watch and talk about it. And whether it's Peyton Thorne, whether it's some older guys on defense, it's kind of like you just wish you could simulate the rest of the season and get this group out of here.
Yeah.
Do you then just ride with Peyton? You mentioned the younger guys. Then do you ride with Peyton Thorne the rest of the way, or do you try to get some younger quarterbacks some experience down the stretch?
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, you're at the point now where Walker White could play the rest of the games and not lose his red shirt. If my team is going to lose, I'd rather him do it, gaining experience and letting the young guy get some stuff on tape, right? And really see it move in front of them. Because at this point, I mean, guys, I think we can have the argument, and I think there may be a certain amount of games that you have to start, but I think Peyton Thorne may be the worst starting quarterback at Auburn of my lifetime. As far as a play the whole season and this, that, and the other. I mean, you look at Jeremy Johnson, didn't start a ton of games, but if you're Auburn, play the young guys. I mean, you might as well. The season's a disaster. You're going to have to win a lot next year anyway. So I'd play them.
Well, and you mentioned next year. Is Hugh Freeze going to be on the hot seat next year going into it if they end up with two straight losing seasons?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to go 4-8 probably. You can't do that at a place like Auburn and just be fine. Now, what does hot seat mean? I think you got to probably win 8. I think you got to sign a lot of this recruiting class because you can sit here and promise and promise and promise. But when you look as bad as Auburn has on the field at a place like Auburn, and I still think he can do it. You don't see results in 3 years. You deserve to be fired.
And then on the other end of the circle there, and or the coin, if you flip it to the other side, I was impressed with how Florida played, considering that their horrendous luck with the injuries at the quarterback position, to push Florida to the middle of the fourth quarter Georgia to the middle of the fourth quarter the way they did. The Gators, I think they're playing really hard for Billy. You coached as well. You put on the headset, so you've been on both sides. I know it's going to be tough for him to get a sixth win. They certainly should get a fifth against Florida State. But if they somehow get another win, I don't see how you fire Napier at this point.
You better have a great plan already lined up and almost have the signature on the dotted line. That would be the only way. You look at that Georgia game, it's kind of a microcosm of Billy's tenure at Florida.
Right.
The guys are still playing really, really hard. I thought the plan was really good. Before Lagway went down, you could really feel that momentum start to shift. And it wasn't just, offensively, the defense, that front seven, to start to figure out, hey, man, we can do this against these guys. And we can talk about Georgia and this team compared to years in the past. But also, just like in Billy Napier's tenure, if it could go wrong, it did go wrong. I mean, you're lining up for a field goal in the second half to take the lead, even with all this craziness, right?
Yeah.
With your top two quarterbacks going down, you're lining up to kick a field goal to take the lead. And you get a bad snap, and not only do you not get a kickoff, it rolls 20 yards behind you into your territory for Georgia to take over.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was kind of a microcosm, no doubt. And then we also saw South Carolina. They just take Texas A&M behind the woodshed. This has been a fun season in a way, Jake, because I don't know that there's an elite SEC team, but truly it's a wide open conference right now. I know we got two big games coming up on Saturday that we're going to ask you about, but watching South Carolina take Texas A&M to the woodshed was something to behold, and I think South Carolina's got a pretty good football team.
Well, that's why last Monday came out here, we kind of talked about this game. And then on Halloween, we put our scariest matchups for teams to stuff something big left to play for.
Right.
And this was at the top of the list. Absolutely at the top of the list. So when you look at what, South Carolina is, they've been kind of schizophrenic, right? They've played really well, or bipolar, whatever you want to call it. They'll play really well, and you're like, oh my goodness, this team could really cause some damage. Then they'll look like they looked against Ole Miss. But now when you look at Lenore's growth, and this is something I noticed during the Kentucky game, South Carolina really thrives when the play breaks down. We call them havoc plays. And whether that's Lenore shaking a tackle and running, Lenore shaking a tackle and throwing, hitting a pass down the field, whether that's defensively causing turnovers, or when the other offense, when the play breaks down, it seems like South Carolina is able to make some of those big plays, or most of them. But once again, that front seven on defense, the fact that South Carolina was able to run the ball at A&M and was able to kind of stop the run for the most part, including Marcel Reed's ability to take off, really, really impressed with what Shane Beamer has, this young team, and what they're able to do, not just offensively young, but defensively young as well. Big win for them. But if you're an A&M fan, you're still fine. You just lost your insurance game.
Right.
And so what does A&M do now with their quarterback spot? Do they stay with Reed, or do you think Wigman comes back and plays, or is Reed the guy they go with the rest of the way?
I think you still stick with Marcel Reed.
Okay.
He did some good things. It wasn't perfect, but he wasn't, the only reason you lost. And he's played more than Connor Wegman has. I mean, Wegman was really good against Missouri. He's been good in other spots, but Reed gives you that different element. And I think he's been more consistent, which is crazy to think of because he's a young guy, and Wegman's been playing this league for a while. But also the running dynamic. When you're going to play teams that are athletic in the front seven, don't get me wrong, but they're not South Carolina athletic.
Well, and we're talking to Jake Crane and Company. And okay, now I'm going to ask you a broad question. What did Sam Pittman do to irritate Lane Kiffin?
Ooh.
Oh, I was going to say, I love broads. I'm glad I married one. But, where has this Ole Miss offense been? It's so ironic. It's so ironic. And there's three huge ironies in the SEC this year, and Ole Miss is one of them. All I've heard for so long, and it's true, is, man, if Ole Miss and Tennessee could get a defense, they may never lose again. They'd be a championship. They could be dynastical runs. And the first year they actually have not just a legit defense, but an elite defense, the offenses aren't as good. Then on the other side, we look at LSU and we're like, man, you know, this LSU team, if their defense could just play well, they don't even have to be elite. You know, they could do some big things. And then we get the defense playing better, and the offense kind of sputtered the other week. So I don't know, man. Some of it had to do with Arkansas busting some coverages in the back end, but they were doing that because they were having to take chances in the front, right? They were stunting the front, they were blitzing because they thought at first, and it was smart, I think, by Travis Williams, to, hey man, we don't have to run stunt like we did against Tennessee. We don't got to sit here and try and win with a magic show like we've done in the past. This Ole Miss offensive line struggled. Let's just get in our base stuff and see if we could beat them. And then when that didn't work, they had to start taking chances. But Taylor Green getting hurt really threw them off schedule. Kind of takes the fastball out of their hands with what they want to do from a running standpoint. But guys, I don't know if it really mattered who Ole Miss played last Saturday. If they're able to get to bring the fun back, even without Trey Harris, and get the confidence back and that swag back. I mean, Jordan Watkins had 254 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns on like 8 catches. That's insane. I couldn't do that on the video game.
Does that give them, I mean, the offense got a spark. It put up a lot of points. Saturday they have Georgia at home. And kind of, I mean, Ole Miss had a puncher's chance, I think, anyway in this one. But, I mean, what does that do for momentum going into the Georgia game?
Doesn't this feel like it's kind of like the Penn State versus Ohio State or Michigan moment? Like we always talk about, you know, Ole Miss will handle business here, but that big game comes. You know, we said the same thing about James Franklin.
Yeah.
This is Ole Miss's chance. And when you look at the rest of the schedule, a 10-2 Ole Miss gets in. I think pretty much any 10-2 SEC team will get in at this point in the race. And you look at who they have down the stretch. They've got Georgia, then they go to Florida, which is a lot easier mission now that Lagway and Mertz are out. And then you host Mississippi State, who's basically a bunch of fourth graders running around. You win this one, you're not making the SEC championship most likely, but you could clinch a playoff berth pretty easily. The question becomes, guys, which Carson Beck are we going to see? And it's not like all these interceptions from Carson Beck or tip passes or receivers falling down. He's making bad decisions right now. And if he goes to Oxford and does that, they're going to lose.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. I mean, I've watched Beck all year, and it kind of reminds me of Jameis Winston's redshirt sophomore year after he won the Heisman. He just seems like while Georgia's winning, he just continues to make mistakes, and yet he finds a way to win the game, and then Georgia's defense makes enough plays, and they're solid enough in the kicking game, but the QB just continues to kind of put you in bad spots. And now ETN gets banged up, which to me is I mean, Georgia's got depth. They're a good football team, but I would agree with you that pass rush that Ole Miss has is legit, and they've got a really good defense. Now, when they lost to Kentucky, I think, including myself, we all kind of wrote them off and thought they were done. But the way this SEC has opened up, and even the playoff field as a whole nationally, I think you're right, Jake. If they get to 10-2, it's going to be tough to keep them out.
Oh, yeah, I'm telling you guys right now, and unless there's some sort of cataclysmic event, a 10-2 Ole Miss with a win over Georgia is going to get in the playoff. You know, the fascinating part to me is you know, looking around who's going to get – how many teams the ACC and Big 12 going to get in, right? You look at a team like Notre Dame. Can they win out? And 11-1 Notre Dame should and would be in. And obviously you got an automatic group of 5 team. I'm telling you guys, at this point, I'm just amazed we're sitting here talking about is Carson Beck the reason that Georgia's not playing well. That's just it's just so weird to see. And you know, we lost so many quarterbacks last year to the NFL. Remember how deep that class was? We're like, all right, we know that these 5 guys this year are going to be elite, and Carson Beck was on that list. Everybody else is doing their thing. Shadur's doing his thing. Dylan's doing his thing. You know, you've had some guys kind of come out of nowhere that are playing well. But Carson Beck, man, it's weird to see.
What's your thoughts, early thoughts on Alabama LSU on Saturday?
Oh gosh, I hope everybody drinks responsibly. Like that's as far as what's going to go on the field.
Right.
You know, you look at both sides of the ball for each one of these teams. Is LSU's defense going to be able to slow Jalen Milroe in the run game down? If they can do that, I think LSU has a really good chance to win. But if Alabama coming off a bye week where Jalen Milroe is going to be healthier, right? You've had an extra week to scheme. LSU has played a lot better defensively, but they still have a decent amount of injuries.
Yeah.
If Jalen Milroe can line up and run Q power and power read, and he can take off with success in the scramble drill, Alabama's got a really good shot to win. And then on LSU's side, you know what Bama's going to do defensively, right? How well can you run the ball? Because that's been the struggle of this LSU team, which is another shocker, right? The pass protection has been good, but Alabama's been up and down in the run game. So just like many games, fellas, it's going to come down to who can stop the run. You can stop the run, you can stop the loss.
Well, and also Nussmeier has been prone to mistakes, much like Carson Beck. Now, he's made some plays, man, but because of that running game struggle, he's also turned the ball over some, Jake.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. But that's why, again, whether, we were talking about the A&M game, and I had some LSU fans who were like, oh, he's fixed that. I would just heat him up. I'd put him in the microwave. That's one way to eliminate RPOs. That's fine. You want to replace the blitz with the ball, go ahead and do that, bud. But he's such an anticipatory thrower, and he wants to be right. He's willing to put the ball in harm's way to be right when he sees pressure, even if you don't bring it post snap.
Well, good stuff from Jake Crane. Well, bud, we appreciate it. And again, thank you for always giving us unique insight and great opinions. Have a great show later today from 2 to 3:30 on YouTube with Crane and Company. We always appreciate the talking some college football with you. Thanks, bud.
Hey, love y'all having me on, man, and looking forward to next Monday.
All right. Thanks, Jake. Jake Crane, kind enough to join us. Let's get our break in, wrap up hour one next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Just got a new wreck in Decatur at 4th and Gordon. That one's reporting a possible injury. Got one in Limestone County, 31 in front of Calhoun College. Nobody reported hurt there. They're running 231 in Steger Road as an injury type wreck. Had Church in 8th in Decatur. That one's moving to a parking lot. And got Point Mallard in Upper River. That one's reported with injury. Got a ladder in the road eastbound 565 east of Oakwood. Don't let the cooler temperatures catch you without heat. D&L Refrigeration can check your system before it's too late with discounts for military, law enforcement, and seniors. D&L 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying, but they can also signal a major problem, or worse, an electrical emergency. So play it safe and leave it to the experts at Mr. Sparky. Trust our team of professional, clean, and friendly electricians. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine. Salt and Pepper and Heavy D up in the limousine. Hanging pictures on my wall. Every Saturday, rap attack Mr. Magic Molly Mall. I let my tape rock till my tape pop. Smoking with you, bamboo, sipping on private stock. Way back when I had the red and black lumberjack with the hat to match. Remember rapping?
Oh, welcome back. Music there, getting you back in the mood here on a Monday morning. We're live from Bill Penny Toyota, hour one, just about in the books. And it's been a good, fast 60 minutes. I mean, a fast 60.
It has. And I mean, I didn't really give my good, bad, and the ugly, but it's pretty simple. I mean, we know the good was Vanderbilt finding a way to win at Auburn. Heck of a performance there, and getting their sixth win, getting bowl eligible. South Carolina with a rout of Texas A&M. Georgia finding a way to win. The bad, we continue to see, questionable officiating, in my opinion, in some key situations, not good. But I mean, also, and then the ugly, of course, Auburn offensively, they just can't seem to get over the hump. And bad also Texas A&M, just that performance overall defensively, really kind of surprising. I thought it would be a much closer game with South Carolina, especially after they took the initial punch and came back and got up 20-17. You're thinking, maybe they're going to control this game, but Carolina gets the field goal near the end of the half to tie it at 20 and then just dominates the second half.
All right, let's get Bryce in real fast. Good morning, Bryce.
What's up, Bryce?
Gentlemen, what is the CSP thinking?
Well, they will release their rankings tomorrow, so we don't know what they're thinking yet.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. They're going to go up against tomorrow night, the election night. I mean, that's going to probably be the lowest rated CSP show there is.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean,
is that crazy?
It's something they deal with, I guess, at once every 4 years. It's not like they. I mean, I get it, but I mean, at least it's not the final rankings. It's just the first one.
Yeah.
I mean, don't you agree, Drew, that that's going to probably be the lowest one ever?
I mean, probably so. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'll be initially keeping up with the election, certainly, and everybody's going to vote, but I'll be also wanting to see and again, like Scott said, though, it's just the first ranking. So
it's just the first
it's
one.
nothing to get all torn up about because there's going to be a lot of changes.
Right. And I mean, if it was the final one, yes, I'd be like, okay, let's move it to
or even
Monday
later
or
in the process if you're talking about late
right.
November, something like that. But right now,
it's the first one.
It's just kind of all these projections we've seen in this election that really don't mean anything that have been going on for months.
Right.
So.
All right, Bryce, thanks for the phone call.
Appreciate
there.
it.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. I mean, it's something you deal with, but it's once every 4 years, and I mean, it's tough. But you can pay attention to both. I mean, the college football playoff rankings still take 20 minutes, 30 minutes. You'll get in and out, and then you can still pay attention to the election.
You'll hear tons about the election
all night long.
Yeah.
This will give you a reprieve. It'll give you an hour reprieve.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. This action update is brought to you by GBank. Earn cashback rewards on every eligible gaming transaction. VSiN.com/GBank.
Monday Night Football, the Chiefs looking to remain undefeated. They're 7-0, 3-0 at home. They take on the Buccaneers tonight at Arrowhead. Tampa Bay 4-4 overall, 2-1 away from home. Tight end Jared Wiley is out for the season. He's got a knee injury. Wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster will sit out tonight with a hamstring injury. Defensive end Mike Dana out with a pec injury, while cornerback Najee Johnson is out with a concussion. 3 players already listed out for Tampa Bay. Wide receiver Mike Evans has a hamstring injury. Defensive lineman Greg Gaines with a calf injury. Kansas City by 9. Tampa plus 340. The over-under 45.5. That's the VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. I'm Chuck Sanders.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This hour brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic and Spine Center. Online at sportsmedalabama.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
Welcome back, hour 2. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. We're live from Bill Penny Toyota Service Department. where you can buy 3 tires. You get that 4th one for $1 right now. And also remember, rent a Toyota today. It's rentability, reliability, versatility, and rentability, all here at Bill Penny Toyota. We've talked a lot of college football, and now we're number one. We're going to hit the pause real fast on that because 13 of the 16 SEC programs will tip off the 2024-25 basketball season tonight. Also got to wish best of luck to our good friend Tony Poolhole and the UNA Lions, North Alabama Lions. They tip off the new season tonight as well. Some notable games in the league. Ohio State and Texas will tip things off tonight. The Memphis squad that we just saw here last week, they will take on Missouri tonight in a regular season opener in the SEC. And then Kentucky gets their new Mark Pope era underway as they'll take on Wright State. Tennessee will tip off against Gardner-Webb, Texas A&M, UCF. And then right here, the number 2 ranked team in the nation, Alabama, will play host to UNC Asheville, and you'll be able to hear that game right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone tonight at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, and there will be a very interested observer following that game closely, and he's now on the Neighbors Wealth Management hotline with us, and that's the underlying story here is he is going to sign with UNC Asheville this month and continue his basketball career once he wraps it up with the Huntsville Crimson Panthers. But the Crimson Panthers will open their season on November the 7th, this Thursday at home against a very talented Bob Jones team, coached by Brian Stark. He does a great job, and they've got Caden Rickard themselves, who's going to Murray State. They've got a very experienced squad back, but Huntsville's got a very special group of seniors. They've got 7 of them. This is kind of their last dance, and they've kind of elevated this program to heights we haven't seen before. They're the number 2 team in the preseason in the state to 2-time defending 7A champion Hoover, but they have very high expectations, and they have a very high character group. And one of them now is with us on the Neighbors Wealth Management hotline. He is a very good student as well as a student athlete. Very good basketball player, but also someone that has set very high academic standards, and he's going to take those to UNC Asheville. And, of course, we're talking about senior wing Braden Rivers, and he's been kind enough to join us this morning on the Neighbors Wealth Management hotline to talk some Crimson Panthers and how excited he is to continue his career on the college level. Braden, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Good. How about you guys?
Doing good. Are you excited? Is this a fun time of year right now?
Oh, yeah. Can't wait to get started this Thursday. Senior season, ready to get it started.
Yeah, no question. And talk about your journey, man. I mean, you just a few short years ago, and it goes by so quickly. I know you moved from the Mobile era, from the Saraland area to Huntsville, and to become part of this program. You fit in very quickly. Certainly, we started hearing about you when you were an 8th grader already enrolled in the program at Huntsville and playing. But just talk about how, first of all, quickly the years have flown by, but how you've developed in this program so far.
Oh, yeah. It's been a journey. Moved up 4 years ago now, summer of 2020, from Mobile up to Huntsville. Got to meet Coach Swears and get introduced into the program. But totally, it's flown by. Coach Swears has a quote before every season that he tells the seniors that senior night will be here before you know it. And when you're an 8th grader or a freshman on the team and you hear that, you don't really believe it. You think you got so much time. But now it's here. I'm a senior. Last year of high school basketball, and really it's surreal. Didn't really think it'd go by this fast, but it has. But also at the same time, it's gone by slow, and you've been able to build these experiences and relationships with guys, and it's awesome. I can't wait to have this last season and do everything we can to go out on top.
Yeah. And how hard is it not to go out? And I mean, gosh, it'd be easy to try to just go out and win that state championship in that first game. But how hard is it to go out there and just kind of pace yourself a little bit, so to speak, and try to take each game one game at a time, knowing what you want to be and where you want to be at the end? How hard is it to kind of just focus on that one game at a time?
Yeah, it's tough. Of course, everybody on the team and probably everybody in the state knows that we want to win the state championship for our senior year. But we know that in order to get to that goal, you have to take it one step at a time. You can't overlook any particular game, knowing that you have that goal set off in the future. So for us right now, we're just trying to take it one game at a time, play to our standard every single time we go out, be the hardest playing, toughest team, most unselfish team, and just go out and play to our standard for 32 minutes every single game. And we know that if we do that, we'll eventually end up at our goal.
Well, and I thought I noticed that this summer. I mean, it was Huntsville has had successful summers every year under Christian Swears, but I think this one was the most successful. Certainly traveling around playing different opponents, but had taken on some very, very stiff competition, earning praise wherever you guys went. I mean, there was a lot of people that maybe don't see Huntsville as much, that aren't as familiar, but that you guys impressed. And I thought even for you individually, the way you started rounding your game into shape, I thought sometimes the Lord works in mysterious ways, but when you jammed your wrist this summer and it kind of affected your shot, I thought it helped you round other aspects of your game into form, like defending, rebounding. And I think it really helped in the evaluation period over at Lake Point to draw the attention of UNC Asheville and how hard you played.
Yes, sir. That was the first thing they noticed about me, actually. Head coach Mike Morrell, he was sitting in the stands for one of our games and saw how hard I played, and even not being able to shoot it very effectively because I was banged up, just being able to impact the game in other ways. That's really what college coaches notice. And so I went out, played as hard as I could, crashed the offensive glass, got offensive rebound putbacks, played really well on defense, blocks, getting back in transition, running the court whenever I could, getting downhill, getting to the rim, knowing that I couldn't shoot as effectively as I normally could. Just being able to display different parts of my game. Now that I couldn't really shoot it as well, I guess that really impacted the way college coaches looked at me, and of course got the attention of Asheville, and ended up building a really good relationship with those guys. So it worked out in the end.
Yeah, talk about UNC Asheville a little bit. The fit there and how well you fit in there, and how big of a decision that was for you to decide on where to take your next step in your career.
Yeah, of course. That's probably the biggest decision that an athlete can make. It's probably the biggest decision of my life so far. And it was kind of a quick process, didn't really get talking with those guys until the end of June. And by the end of July, I was committed. So that's within a month. But really felt at home there, took a visit. I believe it's like mid-July, around mid-July, mid to late July. Went up there, got to be on campus, hang out with all the guys, build relationships with the coaches, and I really knew that was the place for me. They're great culture, great winning program, and somewhere I can see myself for the next 4 years going and building up my game and doing as much as I can to make it to the next level.
Well, and then too, it's kind of ironic. Christian Swear's 7th year, Mike Morrell going into his 7th year at UNC Asheville. He's built a special program there. They've won 49 games the last 2 years, and and won 27 2 years ago. Last year made the Big South final, so they've competed at a very high level in mid-major basketball, and it's a beautiful city. And also for our listeners, kind of update us, because we know that area was affected quite a bit by the hurricanes that have hit that area in the last few weeks.
Yeah, they're back on campus now. The city itself is still a little bit in shambles. A lot of flooding destroyed a lot of the area around there, but the campus didn't get too much of it. Still, of course, some damage because that's how it is with hurricanes. But they were able to get back on campus last week, and so they're getting primed and ready to kick off the season tonight at Alabama, and ready to get it going at home when that opener comes.
So between now and then, I know it's all about winning a state championship, and it's all about the team, and that is awesome, and that's where your mind should be. But what do you want to do, like, to get better before you take that next step in college? What are some areas you want to work on?
Right now, just continue to round out my offensive game, being able to make shots for not only myself but for my teammates, get them open opportunities, and especially this last year, going out as a senior, you want to make sure that an impact is left on the program. So we have a lot of young guys on the team still that'll be carrying on this torch of success after we all leave, and so just trying to impact those guys as much as we can and build myself up as a leader before I go off to college is really a big emphasis for me. as I go into this final season.
Yeah, and talk about how that feels now, because you guys have grown up around this program. You've known Coach, and some of these guys in fifth grade, you got here a few years later than they did, but you certainly have fit in very, very well. You've grown up around all the guys here. You've seen guys like Caleb Harrison lead the team, Jamari Arnold, who will be going into his redshirt freshman year at North Georgia, and then, of course, Messiah Morris, who had a great career. So you've seen how this team has been led. How are you guys as this group of seniors? How have you kind of grown into this role with this squad?
Well, when you have leaders like Caleb and Man and Messiah over the past 3 or 4 years, they make it pretty easy on you. They've built that model for success, and now we're just trying to follow exactly what they've taught us. Just playing as hard as we can, being leaders on and off the court, not just playing basketball, but when you see them in the hallways, just picking guys up and making sure they're okay, talking to them every single day, and just being there for people. And so when you have that model from guys before you that you were able to learn from in your freshman and sophomore years, it impacts you. And I hope that what we're able to do is be that model for our younger guys now, so that when they get to the position that we're in, they're able to impact the next generation of Huntsville High School basketball players.
Man, I remember my senior year. I remember the first game, the senior year. I didn't get much sleep the night before. I was always just anxious to get out there and want to play. And I can imagine you were just anxious for Thursday night to get here.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait to be back in front of that student section. They're going to be rough and rowdy. Can't wait for that. And just being able to have this first game with my guys, Simon, Eli, JD, Josh, Nate, Nunu, just being able to start this senior season off strong with those guys and have this experience. It's going to be fun. I know I probably won't sleep much the night before, but I'm definitely going to need to. Just can't wait for it.
And I wanted to ask you too about one more question about UNC Asheville, because he was a guy that I had a chance to meet, and it was really a cool kind of experience being with you guys this summer and kind of listening and getting a chance to be around the UNC Asheville coaches when they noticed you and started turning up the heat on you. But a guy that I had a chance to interact with a little bit in Meade, really good dude, Woody Taylor, who's on that staff. And I know he made a big impact on you and was part of the reason that you became so attracted to UNC Asheville, because that's the thing about Huntsville High. It's not just Christian Swears. There's Caleb Brown. There's Tyron Gibson Shields. There's Todd Jeffers. There's so many guys in the program that mean a lot to you guys as players, and you're trying to find the same fit collegiately.
Yeah, exactly right. I think that's one of the things that's so attractive about Asheville is that there are so many parallels to Huntsville High School. You have a staff of coaches that are really passionate about the game, like Woody Taylor, that are just, they're there for you and they want to see you succeed. And so when I went up there and I was able to meet those guys, I was able to see so many connections between them and Huntsville, and knowing that I had success in Huntsville's program and will continue to have success through this last senior season, just kind of shaped my view of when I was trying to make that final decision, like, yeah, this is a place that I need to be because they're going to be working for me and passionate about me and yearning to see me succeed on the collegiate level. So that was definitely a big decision for me, but they made it really easy just having those connections to Huntsville.
Well, and we're looking forward to the first chapter on Thursday, 7:00 or 7:30, I should say, against the Bob Jones Patriots. They're a really good basketball team as well, but I know you guys are wanting to savor every moment, every home game, and all the time together as a team. And this is a very special group of guys, and I know you've been looking forward to this journey. Just enjoy it, but we appreciate the time this morning, Braden, and certainly good luck this season. And go Big Red.
Yes, sir. Go Big Red. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Braden Rivers kind enough to join us. High school basketball getting underway. College basketball getting underway tonight. It is crazy. It is a fantastic time if you are a lover of you got the college football world mixed in there. You got the college basketball world mixed in there. A lot of expectations. Auburn will open up the season, I believe, on Wednesday or Thursday. They're in action against Vermont. Alabama is action against, UAB is projected to win the AAC. You got
over
Memphis,
yeah.
who we just saw last week in town. And again, they open up tonight against Missouri, does Memphis.
And don't forget, one of the better players at UAB is Butta Johnson, who prepped under Jack Dawson Grissom. So that's another young man from our community that's had a good run so far and is supposed to have
Tony, has he graduated?
No, he's still there.
He's still there.
And
yeah.
So, but Butta's supposed to be one of their best players. And so, and Tony still applying his wares for UAB. I believe this would be his senior year. Okay. So good for him. And, he's had a nice, run with them also. And Andy Kennedy's done a good job. And he's done a good job reviving the UAB program. And hopefully they've got a chance to, win their league and make the big dance.
If he has another big year, does he get another Power 5 job?
Well, certainly I'm sure his name will come up, but he's coaching at home right now where he played for Gene Bartow at UAB and I think he's very happy. He had a really good run at Ole Miss. Really the best in school history. We'll see what Chris Beard can say for that as he has taken over the program. But he did a really, really good job at Ole Miss for over a decade.
Let's get a break in. 256-576-4977. You can join the program as we're live from Bill Penny Toyota. I forgot where we were at. On Bill Penny Toyota on a Monday morning. I've only been sitting here for an hour and 15 minutes. Oh, we're live from Bill Penny Toyota coming up next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
They found that wreck in Decatur. Apparently happened on 6th Avenue. They ended up at 1st and 4th. That one was an injury type. 31 northbound in front of Calhoun to no injury. 231 near Steger reported with injury. And Point Mallard and Upper River was also an injury type wreck. Shoals Scholar Dollars Legends in Concert Series is bringing Grammy Award winner Kathy Mattea to UNA. Tickets for the November 24th Winter Gathering are available at shoalsscholardollars.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
If hunting and outdoor recreation are your passions, it all starts with the right property. That's where I come in. I am Bo Butler with Southland Realty and Auction, a hunting and recreational land specialist and a Jackson County native who sees land through a hunter's eyes. Just as you trust your guide on a big game hunt, you can trust me to find the perfect property for you. Thinking of selling? Let me help you make your land attract buyers. Remember, Bo knows land. Call me at 256-609-0512.
You want the right specialist for your recovery. At SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, we understand every body is different. Your muscles and bones are unique, as is your body. Our SportsMed specialists offer innovative treatments and minimally invasive procedures, allowing you to quickly return to the life you love. Locations in Huntsville, Madison, Athens, and Decatur, and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. Improving performance, improving lives.
Mark and Henry McDaniel, attorneys at law, are proud alumni of Madison Academy, and Madison Academy is proud of them. They have served our community through their practice, through volunteerism and service on national, state, and local boards. They explain the complexity of critical court rulings on local media. Their successful practice has been built on integrity. Both are veterans of MA Athletics and proud sponsors of Mustang football. McDaniel and McDaniel, attorneys at law. No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by the lawyer.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at JetSuperstore.com.
Listen to the Bama Recap Show, presented by Lawler's Barbecue.
The tackle, Williams, 2 catches, 2 touchdowns, 2 electric early
on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond, welcome back into the program. We're live from Bill Penny Toyota on a Monday. We had Jake Crane joining us in hour number 1, and you asked Jake about Hugh Freeze's hot seat future and where he's going. And I think you have to bring up the fact that Brian Harsin, through 21 games, was 9-12 as Auburn head coach. Hugh Freeze is 9-13 through 22 games as head coach of the Auburn Tigers. Do they feel different? Does Brian Harsin's 9-12 feel different than Hugh Freeze's 9-13?
Well, I mean, not exactly. I think watching the team there's a lot of the same feel, because at Auburn he had a chance to win more games than he did, but they for whatever reason, Jake kind of made the good point of this older group of players has never been able to get over the hump and win big games. They've always kind of found a way to lose. You know what I'm saying? So I just think right now it's more of a talent issue. I do think some of the coaching with Harsin and Freeze has been very, very questionable, but also I don't think they're supremely talented right now, especially in the upper class. Now, the recruiting, I think where it's different is I do think Freeze is bringing in good players. Like you saw DeMarcus Riddick. He mentioned that. He's flying all over the place, playing linebacker, spying on Diego Pavia. You know, I still think Coleman, it has a chance to be good. He's had a little bit of a rough freshman year, but there's a transition there that you have to go through. You see Keldrick Falk in the second year that he's taken that jump. We talked about it in Dallas that he needed to become one of them dudes. Like he needed to become a great player. He's certainly on his way to doing that. I mean, you can't question Keldrick Falk and how he's played. They've got young pieces in the secondary. Now losing Anthony was tough to the leg injury. I think he was starting to, assert himself and become a really good DB. But again, they're playing a lot of young guys, and I think you can see the Malik Blocktons of the world, some of these young defensive linemen that are good. They've got some good young pieces on defense. And then offensively, I do think a large portion of it is quarterback. And now what's going to be so fascinating, I don't really blame Jake for what he said about, I don't think you could hurt yourself if you're Auburn because you're 3-6. Okay.
Making a change.
I guess technically you still have a chance to play in a bowl game. Okay. But you also have Texas A&M at home. You've got, you've got this bye week coming up, first of all, but then you've got Alabama on the road. I mean, it's not an easy situation. Now, I think that Auburn can still make a late run. I mean, it's not out of the question. I doubt it at this point in time, but I will just say, I think the recruiting is going well, but I think you're getting to the point where maybe you take a look at a Walker White if you don't blow his red shirt and see, okay, does he have enough potential to develop into a quarterback? Otherwise, to me, he didn't recruit Holden Garner. Okay. So he's not beholden to him.
Right.
He's got Deuce Knight coming in, but Deuce is raw from all the reports.
And the expectations are that Hugh Freeze is going to go out and you would expect him to go out and get a senior quarterback through the portal this offseason.
And then Hank Brown is a guy that he brought with him from Liberty, but you saw him earlier and it was so-so. So
Yes.
Do you take another look at Hank? Do you take a look at Walker White? And then does that help you make your decision? We got to go get, a Cam Ward of the world, go get a veteran quarterback to come in here and fit. We stuck with the one we brought in last year. And the only slight thing I'll disagree with Jake on is I don't think now he hasn't been great by any stretch, but I don't think it's all on, Peyton Thorne. I think some of the coaching has been poor. And I think also the O-line. I mean, I just think overall it's not the entire quarterback's fault in this situation. Some of these young receivers have not progressed like you would want.
Right.
So there has been some coaching issues as well, but I just think also the recruiting, and this goes back to Harsin, where you do put some of the blame on him. The end of the Malzahn era into Harsin. Freeze, when he got here, and this is the only thing that I will give him and kind of stand on the table and say this is not Hugh Freeze's fault, is he did not inherit a great roster. Now, I know what people will start hollering. Well, you can go out in the transfer portal, you can do this and do that and do this, but that doesn't always work either. They don't always fit together.
Well, he's recruited from the high school level. He started the grassroots.
Right.
You got to have a foundation.
I just think the foundation was very, very shaky.
Yes.
Because there wasn't a lot of great recruiting going on. And now it's been kind of magnified because Hughes made some coaching mistakes. But I'll just say this. I think he's definitely going to be back for year 3. They have to make a jump. And it may be that they have to go out and take another approach and go find a quarterback. It'll be interesting to see what QBs are on the market.
Yeah.
But, Hugh Freeze, that's probably what he's going to have to do.
Let's go out to the phone lines. Ryan is with us this morning. Good morning, Ryan. Ryan, we got you.
I'm here. Hello?
Yeah,
yes,
we got
what's
you.
up, man?
Hey, sorry. Yeah, I was going to ask an Alabama question, but since you're talking Auburn, I was going to mention, hey, it seems, Auburn's recruiting class is pretty good. Do you think how they end the season could lead to a situation where that recruiting class falls apart or no? What are your thoughts on that?
My suspicions would be it will not. I know Brian Matthews has been along with us, and there has been some concern because Auburn has not been stacking wins. But so far, and again, this next month is going to be very important because that's when rubber meets the road and a lot of the flips happen. But so far, they've held it together. And so I think Hugh is – and there's one thing I know about Hugh Freeze. He is a good recruiter. And so they're going to pay attention to detail there. They understand that they have to spend NIL and they have to hold on to the majority of the class because, again, it's so important because right now they are lacking Jimmys and Joes, and they have to have those guys, no doubt about it, because, they have one more game on their schedule where you would think it would be an automatic win, but Brian Vincent and UL Monroe are not bad. So that's almost one of those dangerous New Mexico State type games. They better have their minds right and come out of the bye and win that game because they have 2 really, really tough ones to end it. One at home, one on the road against Texas A&M, who should have a lot to play for still at that period of time. And then, of course, the Iron Bowl with Alabama.
So what do you think the draw is for these players to come to Auburn? Because you know how Alabama has the moniker, the standard, culture, and process. If they're in disarray, are people going to Auburn purely because of NIL? I mean, what is the draw for new players to go to Auburn right now? Because it doesn't make sense to me.
Well, they have a strong NIL with the On to Victory program, but I think the majority of their class too, you have to understand this, the majority of that class is Alabama kids. They kind of focused on that because Alabama was recruiting more nationally, and some of those kids Alabama passed on, and Auburn threw in a lot of their effort to getting those kids because, again, if you're paying out NIL and they're an in-state kid, you have a much higher retention rate to have these kids come in, and you're selling them on the fact that, hey, you can play early because we aren't very good right now. So that's kind of, I think, the whole plan for Auburn is they wanted to go within close to their geographic area, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and build their class like that and then retain it. And then, of course, they are going to have to go out in the portal and probably address the quarterback position unless all of a sudden they throw Hank Brown back out there or Walker White if they lose another game and they take a look at, what they might need. But, of course, who knows? Hugh Freeze may be taking the opposite approach. He may be saying, I don't want to, play Walker White yet. I want to let him compete, but I want to also show that, because Ohio State, remember, they they ended up, they got Will Howard. They thought they were going to get a guy. They thought Will Howard was going to go to USC, and then he saw Miller, who lit it up in the bowl game, and he decided to change directions and go to Ohio State. So it's a slippery slope.
All right, Ryan, thanks for the phone call.
Thank you, Ryan.
Let's get in Jeff from the Borough real fast. Good morning, Jeff.
What's up, Jeff?
How's it going, guys?
Good.
I watched most of all of the day. I wasn't going to watch it, but watch most of the game. They're just banged up and beat up right now. It's a wonder they were up 10-7 at the half. Tennessee missed 3 field goals. So, but I thought they played real hard and played about as good as they can play. Malcolm made a heck of a catch on the touchdown pass, but.
Yeah. I thought their effort, Jeff. I thought Kentucky's effort on Saturday, especially along the defensive front and the offensive front, was a whole lot better than what we saw against Auburn a week ago.
Well, I mean, they couldn't stop the run. But I'm not getting into that. I'm not getting into that game right now. I'm just saying their effort.
I'm saying their effort Saturday was far better than what we saw a week ago.
They should have got killed Saturday. They should have got beat bad. They did.
Right.
It's a wonder Heupel didn't try to score at the end. I thought he would. He hates the Stoops family so much. He didn't try to score. Then he took a knee out. Who knows why he did that? I don't know why he took a knee for. But if Kentucky doesn't turn the ball over twice, they win that ball game. That's why they gave them 2 short fields. They scored. That's why they lost the ball game, period. But
and Tennessee left, I think, 17 points or 27 points in the first half. I mean, they dropped 2 touchdown passes and missed 2 field goals.
Tennessee missed 3 field goals. 3 of them missed 3.
Oh, 3. Yeah.
Missed 3. But if Kentucky doesn't turn it over twice in the second half, they win that ball game, period. That's just the way it is. But they're banged up, beat up. I mean, Barry and Brown, he went out with rib injury. I don't feel play. They don't play this week. They'll get healthy in 2 weeks. But, this stuff that Stoops is on his way out. He's not. And it's so stupid. It's so dumb. I mean, I'm so sick of hearing it. I'm sick and tired of it. It's going to be the man if he leaves. Stoops is going to walk away? No. He's not going to get fired. I don't know what people are thinking. I guess, nobody likes Stoops. Everybody knows it. Nobody likes the man. Okay? Period. You guys know it, and I know it. I mean, period. So, that's all I'm going to say about it. But hopefully they can play good the last 3 weeks. So, see y'all.
Basketball season.
They lost.
Yeah.
Let's get a break in. He got his rant in. We won't hear from him for the rest of the week.
Well, we let him talk, man.
Yep. Nick Kelly will join us next. He'll talk sense, and we'll talk Alabama basketball and football coming up next with Nick Kelly.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. Mostly cloudy skies continue for this Monday night. We'll see low temperatures fall into the lower 60s for the overnight. Looking ahead into our Tuesday, isolated showers going to be possible, mainly in the evening, though, so you can expect to see partly cloudy sky throughout much of the day. High temperatures warming into the upper 70s for the afternoon. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a couple of injury wrecks. It may still be causing problems. Point Mallard and Upper River Road and 231 and Steger Road. Both of those could be a problem. That one in front of Calhoun was causing some northbound problems on 31. It should be moved pretty quick. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. You can make it safer for them. Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money. Take it to the house this football season with the Alabama Manufactured Housing Association. If Alabama or Auburn returns their first received kickoff in the second half for a touchdown at a home SEC game, one lucky fan will win up to a $75,000 down payment towards the purchase of a manufactured home from an authorized AMHA dealer. Don't miss your chance to take it to the house this season and win a beautiful manufactured home. Register to win today at auburntigers.com/tickettothehouse or rolltide.com/tickettothehouse. Certain terms and conditions may apply. To learn more, visit alamha.org.
Welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Welcome back in on a Monday morning live from Bill Penny Toyota, the service department. Alabama was off this past weekend, so if you needed to get your car serviced, Bill Penny Toyota would have been the place to come on Saturday. You could have enjoyed it, and Alabama had the bye week. Now this week they look forward to LSU on Saturday. Basketball in action tonight against UNC Asheville. So not only do you have the football team fighting for the playoffs in a win or die situation on Saturday, you got the number 2 team in basketball tipping off action. And I don't know, when's the last time we've said the very first game of the year, the number 2 team in the country?
Well, our next guest is going to be busy. First, he'll have press conferences this morning in football, and then he'll be in attendance for UNC Asheville, the opener tonight. It'll be a late night, and then later in the week, Arkansas State. Now, I'm sure they're going to work this out at AL.com, and he'll probably be traveling to Baton Rouge. Somebody else will stay behind to cover the basketball game, but it is going to be a very busy week for our next guest, and he does a great job for AL.com covering the University of Alabama. And, of course, we're talking about outstanding writer and, of course, media member Nick Kelly, who's with us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Nick, if you got some coffee already, are you gearing up for the week, man?
I'm one cup in, Drew, and the nice introduction certainly helps too a little bit. So I appreciate that, and it's that month of the year that I usually tell people this is probably the busiest month of each calendar year, but it's a lot of fun too. Right. When you got that football basketball crossover, plenty of things to talk about, and things might not have ever been in a more interesting spot than it is right now when you combine the two. Just all the fascinating storylines.
Yeah, well, let's start with football because that is the season that is ongoing, and it's been ongoing, and they've had a week off, and Saturday they travel to Baton Rouge, and it's a pair of 2-loss teams. I mean, this rivalry game is already big enough, and now we throw in the fact that, whoever comes out of Baton Rouge with that L will have 3 losses, and we don't know how the College Football Playoff Committee will react, but I don't think you want to have 3.
Oh, 100%. I don't think 3 at all gets you in. So it's pretty much a playoff game, really. I mean, the season's not over in the sense of each team will still have a few more games, but in terms of their goals, each team being a team coming into the year that had playoff aspirations and legit playoff aspirations, not making the playoff is not what you want. So, yeah, it's kind of crazy how this game essentially decides the fate for both teams. And I will say, I think that LSU's got a little bit more of an upward battle to try and make the playoff if they do win the game. But certainly, if you lose the game, it's an eliminator. And if you win the game, it just keeps you alive. It doesn't mean you make the playoff, but it certainly eliminates you if you don't win the game.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point you make, Nick, because certainly after losing to them and USC not having the kind of year LSU would hope, that doesn't look good on their resume. But yet I thought Alabama had a really good Saturday resume-wise, that's setting themselves up for the reveal tomorrow and then heading into this road trip to Red Stick.
Yeah, no doubt. Because Alabama has 2 losses, they kind of are in that spot of quote-unquote needing help. And that help comes in the form of the teams they lost to boosting their resumes and, frankly, Georgia continuing to win. Yeah. I mean, I know for some Alabama fans it might have been a weird spot, but Alabama needs Georgia to keep winning. And so Georgia's a team that needs to maintain that high up spot because Alabama right now has the best win in the country of any team because it beat Georgia. But if Georgia loses, that might change. That doesn't mean that Alabama doesn't make the playoff because of that, but one of the best compelling arguments right now for why Alabama, if it's a 2-loss team, should be in over, say, a 1-loss SMU is Alabama's got that nice number 2 win. And frankly, the loss to Vanderbilt is now a ranked loss. So that looks better. The loss to Tennessee is a top 10 loss. Maybe Tennessee can, who knows, even sneak into the top 5 potentially. So in terms of resume, there's nothing that hurts Alabama big time. There's no, say, a Northern Illinois loss like Notre Dame had. But they really need Georgia, Vanderbilt, and Tennessee's a tricky spot because, frankly, it would help Alabama if Tennessee would lose, because that's another team that's kind of competing for one of those at-large spots. I mean, technically, they're both still alive for the SEC championship, but I mean, Alabama, I'd be shocked if they made the trip to Atlanta, and Tennessee could, but I still don't think they're a favorite. So, yeah, you want Tennessee to lose some, but not too much. So it's kind of a weird spot of wanting success, but not too much success for them. And so it's, a lot of scoreboard watching the next couple of weeks.
Well, how does this LSU matchup then compare? Let's talk about the matchup on Saturday. How do you see this one from both perspectives?
Yeah, I mean, if you're Alabama, you have to be encouraged that LSU did not defend the A&M quarterback, I'm blanking his name, Reed, very well on the ground. And that's something, if you can get Jalen Milroe going with his legs, kind of like last year. I mean, he had a few touchdowns, I believe, last year in Tuscaloosa in that matchup and on the ground. So, I think that LSU has to be worried about what a running quarterback or a quarterback who can run can do against that defense. But then also, you're looking at what Nussmeier can be when he's at his best. He's a really good quarterback. He can be a really good quarterback. But if Alabama can fluster him, can get after him a bit, that might be able to turn into kind of what he looks like early or later on in that game. So, it's real fascinating to see kind of how that matches up. And Alabama's defense, it looked legit against Missouri. I think it's on an upward trend. And I think part of that is just because you have some younger guys who I think are developing more. And so will we see that development continue? Will we see the defense continue that momentum it's had ever since Vanderbilt and keep building on that against LSU, against what can be a really good offense? Now, I don't think the running attack for LSU is going to present a ton of problems. So I think it's, can you stop the pass? And for Alabama, that's been a weak point at times. So, a lot of potential matchups of interest there, and I'm just fascinated to see these two teams play out.
Yeah, and Alabama defensively, they made some strides against the run against Mizzou, but they didn't have Noel. Certainly LSU, they've got a running back room that they've, since the season started, a true freshman has really stepped up for them and done a nice job. But overall, when you look at their stats, they haven't run the ball that well. Alabama needs to make LSU one-dimensional, as you said, heat up Nussmeier, and Nussmeier has been prone to turnover. So I still say it's kind of old school football. Alabama needs to cut out some of the penalties. I'm going to be interested too, and I know this is probably something you're going to write about and follow, what kind of adjustments Alabama's made offensively coming off of their road performance against Tennessee, and how they're going to handle crowd noise and things of that nature.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that's one of the big storylines to follow, because the offense didn't handle it well at Tennessee. I will say the good news.
Right.
I would think that Alabama is going to be really well prepared coming to this game. Of course, LSU has the 2 weeks as well, but you look at how well Alabama played in the first half against Georgia. I mean, that was an Alabama team that was ready. So I'm not concerned too much about Alabama's preparation because they've shown that with that extra time, they can be in a great spot against a really good team. I think it comes down to, what does the second half look like? How do they make adjustments when, LSU sees what Alabama came out and did. Now LSU makes adjustments. How does Alabama adjust as well? So to me, the first half, I would feel pretty good about. I think Alabama's going to start well. I'd be surprised if it doesn't. But it's that second half. What do those adjustments look like? How strong does Alabama look in the second half? How well do they play that cat and mouse game the coordinators have to play? And that could determine the game. Has that been something
something I think everyone's watched Alabama do or Or are you surprised that Alabama at times don't make as many adjustments in the second half of games?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to make a broad, yes or no kind of statement about it. But I think that, yes, the second half, to me, just without looking at the stats, without, pulling up the numbers, I think it has been less impressive at times than the first half. But I think we started to see some improvement in that regard from Alabama in the Missouri game, where the offense, which, I mean, gosh, that game feels like weeks ago now, honestly. Yeah. But the offense was, I think, improved in the second half. They worked out some kinks there. The defense obviously had to adjust to what Missouri was doing, and I think they did that well. I mean, they preserved the shutout. Granted, Missouri's offense didn't present too much of troubles from a quarterback standpoint. But, yeah, I think it's a work in progress, but I think we've seen improvement overall. I think that Missouri game is a good game to highlight that. And let's just see if Alabama can continue that coming off the bye week.
Well, and in your mind, before we focus a little bit on basketball, what is the biggest keys for Alabama to get this win, which I think would be the biggest of the DeBoer era, only because it's different when you win on the road in a league. He won the Georgia game. You made a point. It is the biggest win in the country, but he needs to win a road game in the Southeastern Conference.
Yeah, I think you make a great point, Drew, because not only would it be a road game in the SEC, it's maybe the toughest place to play on the road in the SEC. I mean, it's definitely up there if it's not. Right. And it's an iconic matchup. It's a matchup that has high stakes. It's a matchup that, will determine a lot. I mean, because the Georgia game was impressive, but that's at home early in the season, and they almost lost it too. So, yeah, I think that this has potential to be his best win in his first season.
Well, let's look ahead to tonight.
Yep,
Coleman
basketball.
Coliseum, UNC Asheville, 8:00 tip, Alabama, UNC Asheville, the number 2 team in the country, kicking off. We do know, I don't think we do know, but Latrell Wrightsell, Grant Nelson, Aiden Sherrill, they all could be back tonight. Limited minutes, but we could see them back in action tonight after missing those 2 exhibition games.
Yeah, I think that the way Nate talked about each of them on, I think that was that Thursday, that it seemed encouraging that each one is going to be able to have some kind of role. We'll see how big. I think that you just play it smart. I mean, again, they have so much depth that just be smart with these guys. If they're not ready, don't give them a bunch of minutes. But you want to get them some work as well before these tougher games come up against Purdue before long. So, yeah, I think that I'd be surprised if we don't see them all in some capacity. But I don't expect a big capacity at the same time, partly because you just don't need to put them in that spot.
Yeah, and it really is the most anticipated basketball season in school history. I mean, I know you were at both exhibition games. I saw you in Huntsville. I mean, there was a lot of energy in the arena for both those, and in Boutwell certainly looked that way. I know it was a smaller venue, but it's hard. It's interesting to say, but I think there's as much energy and anticipation for basketball as there was for Kalen DeBoer's debut in football earlier this year.
Yeah, I think there's a ton of excitement. I think that it's such a unique moment because the Final Four just happened, and then you follow it up with, okay, it's not like that was a flash in the pan. I mean, you have a season that potentially has a chance to be the best ever for Alabama basketball. And that's crazy to think about, that it's not just, okay, they're done after, a nice little run last year. No, I mean, they went out and improved, I think, somewhat dramatically, really. And then you bring back all those key pieces. And I think it's just so fascinating to see how Alabama has become a national program in terms of relevance. Even as good as some of the teams were under Wim Sanderson, Mark Gottfried going to the Elite Eight. I mean, and just the regionality then was a bit more prominent than now. You can be more national because of television reach, because of social media reach. And I think that Nate Oates is here in this perfect time where Alabama's at the top of the sport and you can have that reach. And so Alabama's able to recruit nationally and able to go get guys all over the country and really have relevance in a lot of different spots and places. So I think it's just the perfect combination of Alabama's playing exciting, great basketball in a time where that branding and program can be branded nationally. So it's a moment that fans have waited decades for in terms of Alabama basketball being in this spot, Tide Hoops being this relevant. And I don't, everyone loves to talk about like football or basketball, which is more relevant, all that stuff. I think there's two things to be true at once. I think that basketball's in a spot like never before, but football's still in a very good spot from an interest standpoint. And so I think that it's okay to enjoy both and realize that both are in some good hands. But yeah, you can't deny that basketball's got such an exciting time. And for the fans who've been there through all these eras and the good and the bad, the NIT trips, the loss to Norfolk State, all those types of things, just to soak up this moment of no matter what happens this season, just to really enjoy the relevance that Alabama basketball is enjoying and being in the middle of. So I think it's just a very exciting time. And I hope fans that have seen some rough basketball or some the team that was a perennial bubble team can really just take in this moment and enjoy it.
Well, we certainly are going to enjoy your work. Let everybody know how to connect with you, Nick. We appreciate it.
Yeah, just AL.com. You can check out our work and @_Nick Kelly on Twitter.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right, Nick Kelly, kind enough to talk some Alabama football and basketball with us. Let's get that final break in. When we come back, we'll wrap all of this up from Bill Penny Toyota.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a couple of injury wrecks that may still be causing problems. Point Mallard and Upper River Road and 231 and Steger Road. Both of those could be a problem. That one in front of Calhoun was causing some northbound problems on 31. It should be moved pretty quick. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. You can make it safer for them. Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Rich Eisen here from Monday Night Football on Westwood One. Join us all season long as we get you ready for primetime NFL action every Monday night. Along with Kevin Harlan, Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner, and the entire Westwood One team will take you inside the locker rooms and the stadiums for exclusive previews and all the play-by-play action. Every week on Monday Night Football.
Right here on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
All right, welcome back in. Your tomorrow's headlines today. We're live from Bill Penny Toyota, by the way. The AP poll did come out. The newest AP poll did come out, and Georgia remains number 2. Oregon remains number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4 all stay the same.
Yep.
Oregon, Georgia, Ohio State, Miami. Actually, Miami is up to
number 4, I think.
Miami's up to number 5. They were number 4. So 1 and 2 all stay the same. Ohio State moves up to number 3. Miami is number 4.
Right.
Texas number 5. They were number 6. Penn State falls down to number 3. And Tennessee remains at number 7. Indiana makes a jump from number 13 to number 8. They are 9-0 for the first time in program history. They last cracked the top 10 and peaked at number 7 4 weeks into the pandemic season of 2020. Before that, 1969, their last time. Alabama, number 11.
Two biggest frauds in that top 10 are 4 Miami and 6 Penn State. Both of them are frauds.
Well, you could say Indiana as well, because Indiana hasn't played a ranked opponent or anybody in the top 30.
Well, they'll get their chance against Ohio State.
Yes.
I mean, but by the way, this was pointed out to me last night. Cursing Nettie's 64 years old for everybody wanting to hire him because everybody's trying to since he's undefeated at Indiana. Let's wait and see how the season ends, everybody. Yeah. Did you know who Kurt Cignetti was 6 months ago? Of course you didn't. He was. Do you know which school he coached at before he went to Indiana? No, of course you don't. So, you just know he worked for Nick Saban.
I know we have been at Bill Penny for the last 2 hours, and we're done.
Well, you forgot the first hour, but yeah.
I'm sitting right here, and I forgot.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota